Some 28,000 people hold the Chartered Property Casualty Underwriters designation. Of those, about 30% are under the age of 40. The average age is about 50, actually. Of those also, only about 2% are African American. Marvin Kelly is Executive Director of the Texas Property Casualty Insurance Guarantee Association, which deals with insolvent insurers in Texas. But he's also the first African American president of the CPCU Society. We asked Kelly whether he thinks the CPU Society has an obligation to address the diversity issues, and if so, what it's doing.
I've actually been involved with that since 2001, and that's when we formulated our first diversity task force. And I was on that. I was on the board of governors at the time, and again, that was the first for the society, having a minority on the board of governors. And when I got off the board, I went in as the co-chair of the diversity task force, along myself and a woman named Deborah Bendeman, who worked for an insurance agency in Maryland. And together, we formulated a game plan for the diversity task force. And then, I guess a couple years later, the diversity task force became the first standing committee ever from a task force to a standing committee for the CPCU Society. And we outlined a game plan of how we needed to move forward to address the shortages in those particular areas, Hispanics, African Americans, and Asians. So my whole theme for my presidency is embracing change. And it's how do I get younger people involved in insurance, and how do I make it more diverse? Because it's been 27 years for me, and it's 27 years of firsts. And this is the first time in the 65-year history of the CPCU Society they've ever had an African American president.
There's another group that's fairly underrepresented in the CPCU world. About 60% or so of CPCU holders work for insurance companies, and only about 25 or 26% are in the agency broker field. Kelly would like to see the perception that the CPCU is for companies only changed.
We actually put together a shared vision with the American Institute for CPCU, and we identified 5 different groups that we wanted to go after. And the agents were one of the groups, because the agents see CPCU differently than people inside the insurance industry. I think the agents look at, like the CIC, for example, is probably not as strenuous as the CPCU in reference to the number of exams that you have to take. So it's easier for an agent to get a CIC or some other designation as opposed to the CPCU. It's a major commitment, but I think it's one that certain agencies use right now as a competitive advantage. You know, they let people know that you have so many people in our office that are CPCUs, so there's some credibility to the designation.